Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant. I'm a life coach, speaker, and believer in the boundless power within every one of us. Each week, we're diving into raw, transformative conversations that not only spark healing, but growth and unshakable clarity. Because you know what? Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard, and your purpose is waiting to be fully lived. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where we are focused on heart-centered conversations. And today, I have the Modern Midlife with Catherine Grace O'Connor in the house. And I'm going to start with this question. What if midlife isn't a decline, but a bloody revolution? And welcome,
Ooh,
Catherine, to the
I
show.
love that.
Yeah. I mean, for the listeners today, I'm going to say get ready for a revolution because that's what you lit in me from the red shoes that we danced around in at the pool
Did.
in Scottsdale. Everything about you lit me up from the moment I met you.
Hmm.
And I think that you are a revolution, what you're creating. So welcome to the
Thank you.
show.
Thank you so much for having me, Dana. I know this has been in the works for some time, and it was pure delight. We're coming up on almost a year when we met in
Yes.
Scottsdale in person, and I fell in love with you online long before that. But I mean, in person, it was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was kindred spirits for sure, and so aligned in so many ways. So thank you so much for having me here.
Well, you know what? I not only lean into the fact that you're 65 and you're out there cold plunging in the ocean, you're a huge influencer. And I didn't even know what an influencer was. I'm like, what is an influencer? I mean, we know what they are, but you are actively, you're not only showing up, doing that, but you are supporting women and pulling them together. And you've started movements on ageism.
Thank
You
you.
are breaking the stereotypical. So when I said, and I wrote and I put it in a box, and when it goes in the box, it's like guided. That midlife isn't a decline but a revolution.
Mhm.
That's what you inspired in me. Every time I see your
Mhm.
roundtables and your dinners and your celebrations, it's about celebrating women. And for a lot of women that aren't being seen at a certain
Yeah.
age, and we hear this the most, I feel unseen. What do you have to
Yeah,
say?
that's
Let's start there. What do you have to say to those
sure.
women right now? What's one thing you can ante up right out of the gate to them where they're
Well, I
feeling
think,
unseen, unheard?
yeah, I think it goes to your whole philosophy and your story, everything in your book. It starts on the inside, right? And that would probably be my life story of feeling unseen for over 50 years until I almost
Mm,
lost my life. And I had to see myself. And for
right.
the first time, really through different eyes. And that really was, you talk about the mirror work and Louise Hay and all that. Those were
Yeah.
all part of my processes to come back to life. But a
Yeah.
big part of that journey was who was in my way. It was me. I had built up so many stories about myself
Mm,
through a lifetime of trauma and abuse, much like you. You're
yeah.
so many. It's not one story; it's a compilation of stories
It's
and
a multitude of
things.
life and trauma and chaos.
Yeah, and things happen to us, and we write a story. And for me, every time I
Yeah.
wrote that story, I made myself smaller and smaller and smaller, and
Yeah.
wrapped myself into something I couldn't see myself. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have self-confidence. I didn't have self-worth. And this was in my mid 50s. And finally I have this, near-death experience and this literal wake-up call, but more importantly, a real spiritual wake-up call that it was like do or die time. I was given the second chance at life that at the time
Right.
I didn't know that I wanted that. Like I consciously, my conscious mind was
Right.
like, nope, ready to go. Up here with the angels is really good, not sure down here. But
Yeah.
when the universe gave me a second chance and
Right.
I really had to set that intention, and a big part of that was, okay, you got to start playing differently, right? It's time for me not to be in the back seat of the auditorium. It's time for me not just to be in the front row, but on center stage, right? And that was
Yeah.
antithesis of how I'd lived my life.
Are you willing to talk about maybe unpack what that looked
Yeah,
like when that happened? Talk to us. Take us back
sure.
on what.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a big part of my TED talk that I had just given
Yeah,
in
I
November, which
know.
is interesting.
And
I
congratulations on that. Brilliant. I mean, I
thank
was
you.
there. I mean, I'm just clapping because I know the journey and what that took for you to get on that stage and talk about
Yeah,
and
it was
share.
huge. it's been 10 years dreaming in the making to make that dream happen. So
Yes.
I did the talk on November 8th. My near-death
Yep.
experience anniversary was 11 years on 11/11. So when we were talking, you're like 11/11. That's my number, 11.
Oh,
I'm,
and then we
yep.
should let people
Mhm.
know that we had
Yep.
an audio problem
Yep.
and I texted you, everything was rebooting, and I said,
Yep.
"Oh, look, it's 111." And without even knowing
Yep.
that
Yep.
that was your not
It's my
only
special, yeah,
yeah,
divine connection.
divine number
Hmm.
and yeah, alignment and guides when that happens for you when you have something like that happen on that date. Huge.
Yeah, exactly. So it was 11/11 of 2014, when I had this near-death experience, and that followed a year-long, the culmination of a very serious life-threatening illness, Lyme disease, that was caught basically 10 years too late. By the time I was diagnosed in
Hmm.
spring of 2014, it was already too late. So basically, I went downhill really fast in the hospital. Last
Right.
rites as of September, near death experience 11/11/14. So it all happened really, really fast, but it was 10 years in the making and 10 years of begging to be seen, begging to be heard, begging to be believed. Every time I was in the hospital, had surgeries, illness upon illness, the medical file of I was told by my doctor, an 80-year-old at the age of 45. So everything, all the evidence was there that I was telling the
Yeah.
truth, but they couldn't see me, they couldn't hear me. And by the time it was caught and I was finally believed, it really, truly was too late. So I went downhill so fast, left my body on 11/11, but so if you want me to take you through that experience, I'm happy to. The actual near death experience, we want just to talk about like sort of the before and after, because it
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
go there. Let's go
Okay.
there
Let's go
because
there.
I think that I mean, I know so many people with Lyme's disease that have not been
Mm-hmm.
heard, seen,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
dismissed, and struggled with just snowed out. They're in depression and they're out there in the wilderness and no one is
Yeah.
helping them and they're screaming and no one can hear. So let's talk
Yeah.
about what that was like for you.
Sure. And then we'll go into what that really means and how I redefine what Lyme disease is. So,
Bravo.
um, yeah, I'm all about the metaphysical like you. So it's all it's all energy in the end. So in September, I ended up in the hospital 2014, last rites. I knew my time was coming short here. My organs had started shutting down. I'd lost 30 pounds less than I am now. So I was
Wow.
literally, I'd say, a walking skeleton, except I couldn't
Well,
walk
for
because
anyone
I
that's
was bedridden.
listening, she's very, I mean, for the people that are listening and not watching on YouTube, she's very petite, very fit. I would say 100 pounds wet, but because she cold plunges a lot. I mean, you're
Yeah,
just
I
all
do. I
muscle
do.
and yeah.
And I am wet a
What I,
lot, not that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
So,
I mean, she cold
yeah.
plunges in the ocean a lot, and I'm like, I'm looking at you, and you're really muscular, and at 65, so fit, but there is just
Thank you.
nothing on your bones but muscle.
Thank you, love. Well, so back to that. And I have to say, when I was receiving the last rites, I truly was ready to go. I have been on a spiritual path since I had my daughter in 1991, had this crazy experience, ended up down a very deep spiritual path, becoming an energy worker, all these things. So I was deeply connected up there. Like this is my world up there. And down here was very, very painful for me. So in my
Right.
conscious, awareness, I was ready to go and had no problem being told, your organs are shutting down. Would you like to see the priest? And I said yes. And they did last right. So that was September. So
Wow.
at 11/11 wasn't far down the road. And so what happened was I normally had two male caretakers taking shifts in my home because I couldn't walk and I was bedridden.
Mm.
So I had really bad seizures. The Lyme had crossed into my brain. They call it neuro Lyme. And
Yeah.
so I would have hours long, 3 to 8 hours a day, full body seizures like an epileptic. So I just had a really weird feeling that day. And I told my one male caretaker who was home with me at the time to just go and I was going to be fine. I was just going to stay in bed. And I just needed to be alone. And as soon as the door shut, it was like straight out of Wizard of Oz. All of a sudden, everything started turning black and white. There was this whooshing sound, like just going through the house. And I started shaking uncontrollably. And I just went over to the bed, crawled into bed, like literally terrified. And all night long because now it's getting dark. And I actually went to my daughter's room because it was closest to where I was because I couldn't really walk. So I got into her bed, pulled the covers up, just waiting for like light to come in the morning. But all night long, this was me. I was like this. My eyes are twitching. My body is moving all night. Like I couldn't stay straight. My eyes would not stop doing this all night long. And something was like happening, which I wasn't sure quite what was happening, but I knew it wasn't good. It's like the light is just starting to come through the blinds. It's morning time. I go to get up and I lift my arm and there's no arm. There's no, it's completely weightless. I feel nothing. It's like it's air. There's nothing there.
Mm.
So I go to step onto the ground to see if I can go over to the bathroom and look in the mirror and check myself out, like what's going on. And I put my leg down and I collapse to the ground, like it's all air. I'm a ghost, complete ghost. There's no body, there's no weight, I feel nothing. It's not numbness. It's air. It's a ghost. So I go because I can't walk. I don't have a physical body to feel. So I just take my fingers on the carpet and just start pulling this like weirdly ghost-like, weight-like body over across the hall to the bathroom. And I put my hands up on the sink and I pull myself in the sink and I look in the mirror and there's nothing here. Like, when you see your soul, right? There's literally nothing there. And in the mirror, all I can see here behind me in the mirror is an apparition of me. Like I'm all lit up and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm looking at my other self and she's looking at me like deep, soulful lock. And she turns and walks out the door. And so I was watching myself leaving myself. And it was crazy. So I guess collapsed and fainted and woke up on the floor. And again, did the same thing and just tried to pull myself back to bed. And I was just, from trauma, completely, obviously I had no body left, but I was 100% disassociated. Like I couldn't process anything that was happening.
Right.
And as soon as I got back to bed, Michael, who's my business partner, had called. He was one of my caretakers. I had two, and he was on the East Coast. And he
Right.
said, "How are you? How are you?" And I just kept saying, "I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here." And I didn't even know what was happening. And it would take me a little while longer to have someone get me back into my body and a mystic to go and see a shaman who let me know that I had a near-death experience. And I was walking around actually in that time period for quite some time in that near-death experience with the vortex open. So I actually had to have that person who was like, I didn't know this was possible. You're walking around, I see the vortex open. There's this pull into the light still going on, which is virtually impossible to resist. And I was given the choice to stay or go. So they said, we can close the vortex and you can stay, or you can go into the light right now. And that was pretty, obviously I made a choice to stay, but I have to say at the time I was so confused and so, do I really want to live in this world where I've just suffered so greatly? It was really, really, but something deeper inside of me made that decision to stay. And at that point I said, I'm going to trust, I called God, this beautiful source energy. Um, okay, God, if you want me here, I'm going to live this life a different way. And there's a story of how I, began to heal the Lyme disease, but really setting an intention that I was no longer going to live in illness. I was going to live in wellness 100%. And I was no longer going to dip a toe energetically into that illness. And
Right.
since that day, I have never once thought of Lyme disease, treated Lyme disease. It just
Mm.
went away through my own energy practices and all the things that I do to heal myself from the inside out at the root of the energy, which was trauma.
You know how much I understand this, and
Mhm.
people. I mean, that's an incredible story. I have a story similar,
Thank
of
you.
being sick
Yes.
and signing away
Yes.
my life every week in the hospital, saying I know I can die from the level of medication,
Mhm.
but there was no answers
Mhm.
but to treat me and put me in comas, and hopefully I wake up. Hopefully
Crazy.
I would be okay. Um,
Mhm.
but eventually understanding that at the time I didn't understand that I had a choice,
Yes.
that the trauma was actually creating the suppression and creating the cycle of the illness. I just grabbed the book, and this one, Heal Your Life.
Yes.
I looked up,
Yes.
I was just looking up Lyme, but it's not here.
I don't know if Lyme is in there. I know
It
obviously
isn't.
autoimmunes and all that. So for me, my
Yeah, it's not
acronym,
in
which
here.
was what I talked about in my TED talk, Lyme to me means love yourself more every day.
Ah,
So when you look at the energy of an autoimmune, it's us fighting
yeah,
ourselves, right? It's the battle of us against ourselves. And if
yeah.
that, I had to distill down what Lyme disease and autoimmunes are in my personal experience,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
it was me fighting me until I gave up the fight and decided to live. I was exhausted from battling myself and that, from my mind and what I would tell myself about myself. It was
Right.
just awful. So you
That
talk
wasn't
about
true.
Louise. Yeah, you talk about Louise Hay, you talk about the mirror work, you talk about the truth within the lie.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the core
Well, and
of what you
I was born
teach.
on the same day as her,
Yeah,
which is the whole
yeah,
thing is, I mean, talk about
yeah,
synergy and
yeah,
alignment. But look at how many women out there have autoimmune and have no idea that they've abandoned themselves. And as long as we focus on the illness will continue to cycle. But making the shift and saying, I'm going to make it my mission to love myself through
exactly.
this. It sounds so simple and so like, what kind of medical plan is that?
Yeah,
And I got the same thing when I tore up those scripts. And well, what are you doing? You want to die? Well, no, I'm going
yeah,
to die if I stay. I'm going to die if I stay
exactly,
taking it. You know, so
exactly.
I completely uh, I could feel where you landed from that point forth. What was that like in that recovery of having to, did the information just download? Did you seek it out or was it just unfolding? Did you
Yeah.
call it in? Because a lot of us, we land there and we're like, I don't know the next step. Everyone's like, well, you had all that information. No, I didn't. I didn't know anything.
Yeah. So thank you for asking. So for me, as I mentioned, so when I had my daughter in 1991, I almost bled to death. So that led me down not only the spiritual path, but getting trained as an energy worker. So I
Mm,
have my master's in spiritual psychology. I'm a Reiki master teacher, trained in EFT, Ho'oponopono, the release technique, trained under some of the top mystics and shamans in the world,
yeah.
meditation teacher, all these things. So I had a giant toolbox that I was lugging around, and it's one thing to have a toolbox, it's another thing to take those tools out and actually use them and practice them.
Oh, I hope
So,
that
yeah,
people rewind and listen to that.
yeah.
It's one thing to know
Mm-hmm,
what to do,
mm-hmm,
but to unpack and use it seems to be the
mm-hmm.
most challenging thing for people to
It
do.
is.
Simple
Yeah,
meditations. How many times have we heard, I can't meditate anywhere, can't do it, but it could be 1 minute in your car. You know,
yeah,
I always say keep it simple because when we have chaos and trauma, the brain doesn't want to incorporate, infiltrate. It just wants to rearrange the story and get a different outcome. And let's make it complicated and let's figure it out over here when over here our soul's just saying, hey, can we just like keep it simple
yeah.
and say, I love Hopoponopono. I love you. Please forgive me. And and
Exactly. Simple.
it's so easy
Yeah.
and it's so impactful. And I look at what I look at Catherine in your life is not only what you've been through, but how you have taken that and generated and supported. You healed, you did the work, you healed, you got the repetition, and then you paid it forward. And then you surrounded and called in a community that you supported and are continuing to build. I was just looking at my notes and I was thinking of, almost you're I put empowerment catalyst and founder of Forever Fierce, the ageless revolution. You know, I think that women that are getting older, I'm just going to say, are so wise that
Yeah.
they're a plethora of there's so much information and I think we release the fluff and we get down to business. Like we were talking about earlier as we were doing our mic and the 111 came in. It's like I'm attracted to women that are supporting women, not women out there that are like, I'm supporting women, but I'm going to support the women that support me and but there's so many criterias. How about we just reroute it through the heart energy and say, I'm going to support women and I'm going to stay aligned and call in the women that I need in my energy field. And the one thing energy doesn't do is it doesn't lie. And from the
Yeah.
moment we were connected, it was like
Yeah.
boom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the one thing I can count on, people will lie, our subconscious will tell
I
stories.
always say that our energy does not lie.
Yeah,
Always say that.
the brain will tell
Yeah.
us all kinds, but the energy, when I feel it, and I'm like, how do I feel about this? It's never going to lie to me, and that goes over every area of our life. I mean, there's no exception to the rule. Energy just doesn't lie. And when I looked at what you created, and I highlighted MODlife Media. Tell me about MODlife. When did MODlife Media come into when you generated that? I mean, you're an influencer. You're out there every morning, cold plunging, showing us how. I mean, I'm watching you and I'm like, are you kidding me? You're in Canada. It's freezing. There's snow.
Okay,
What are
I'm
you
not in Canada.
doing?
I'm in Seattle. I love
I
our
mean,
Canadians,
Seattle,
though.
Seattle. I said Canada, Seattle. I
I'm
meant
almost,
Seattle. Yeah.
I'm almost in Canada. I almost
Yeah,
moved to
well, you're
Canada,
on the
but
brink of, yeah.
I'm
Yeah, but
literally
it's
almost the
freaking cold
border.
in
So, but it's
Seattle.
the same weather. It's the same weather.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if I'll go back to the question you had asked me about like this turning point. And
The
so
turning
there
point.
were
Yeah.
a turning point. So what happened? Sorry, I have these Lilliputian ears. These little things don't say in that well. So,
It's all good. I can
back
hear
to
you.
spring of 2014. And this is, I talked about this in my TED talk, but this is all going to be part in a book that's coming like you. So my daughter came over in spring of 2014. So I'd survived the near death experience. And I wasn't one of those people that went through the light and I was healed. No, no, no. It was like, okay, you're here, you're still suffering, you still got really severe Lyme disease, and you got to do the work. So I was like, it was a little bit
Anyone that
I know.
says it happened, I awoke
No,
and
no,
everything,
no,
I just
no,
think,
no,
well, no,
no,
you're just
no.
now in the vortex and get
Mhm.
ready for the ride because
Exactly. But yeah, the job is
yeah,
yours. That is
the
an
job is
inside
yours.
out, and the truth is, I was the one making myself sick, even though, yes, I had diagnoses and all those were real at the
Yeah.
root of it. And this was confirmed through one of the top infectious disease specialists I went to see when I was coming through the healing period after the near death experience in LA. And he said, yes, you have Lyme disease. Yes, it's very serious, but your bigger issue is the trauma. So we finally have science that actually is now coming in alignment with understanding the root of particularly autoimmune with
Oh,
us
yeah.
battling ourselves, the root of
Oh,
it.
you know
So
how I support that. You know how
I know
I
you
mean,
do.
yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
you do.
even though
So
people in the beginning are like, well, how can you be hospitalized and be that sick on permanent disability, gonna die, almost lost my leg. All that's real.
yeah.
I didn't have
Mhm.
imaginary. I wasn't published in the top 2% at UCSF of being off the curve of migraineurs at the time where I identified as a migraineur, which kept me feeding the illness. They're like, well, how did that just stop if it's not physical?
Exactly. Exactly. So what
Yeah.
I was
So
very
tell me about
fortunate.
that.
Yeah. So when he said that, it was, that first like light going
Oh yeah.
on, light
Yep.
bulb going on. Then it wasn't long after my daughter came over to visit me in spring of 2014. And so the world of Lyme disease is very different than other illnesses in that it is so misunderstood. You are stigmatized. Most people are alone. They are not surrounded by people. You see people with cancer. There's no judgment here. It's
Anything
just
that you can't
you're
see
alone.
and there's
You're
pain
alone.
and you
Yep.
may need
You're
pain
alone.
medicine for
Yeah, and
you're
nobody
branded.
understands Lyme. You're branded. So
Hmm.
you are isolated, alone, stigmatized, usually in
Yep.
depression, despair. You've got all these crazy things going on inside your body. Nobody can like heal it for you because it's you're usually charged gazillions of dollars in alternative medicine and all these things, and you're on all these protocols, or you're on your computer searching how did somebody else do it. So your whole
When you have the energy
energy,
to do that,
all
when
it
you're
is
not
your
in
energy is
bed,
in
yeah,
illness.
yeah.
Your energy is in illness. So the way I think of chronic illness, there is a dark circle and a light circle. The dark circle represents the illness or the Lyme disease, and then there's a light circle. So when my daughter came over and she said I was back depressed, so this is 4 months after the near-death
Right.
experience, back in bed. So I'd go in and out, that up and down thing. I'd go in and out, get a little better, but then fall back. And I was back in despair and back in bed. And she said, Mom, what would you do if you were well? And I said, I travel the world. But I literally looked around to see who said that because I did not have a part of myself connected to joy until that moment where I was like, oh, like there's something inside of me that has a dream, a big dream. And in that moment, I made a decision to be well, and I closed up my laptop and I said, I will not look at anyone else's. That's it. That circle of darkness, my toe is out of that. I am living in wellness. And I couldn't walk. I could only walk around the block at that point. I was still severely ill, but
It's a
I took my
process.
protocols, I threw them in the trash. I don't recommend anyone do that. But I knew in my heart of hearts, the pieces were clicking, that
But it
this
was
was
right for you
something.
at that time.
Yes,
Just
I
like me
knew
ripping up those scripts, I tell people
exactly.
I could have gone into seizures, anything, but I knew it was right for me. I knew I was going to die. So I totally understand. I mean, I feel like I'm like by your
Yeah, it's the
side going
same.
through it.
It's
I,
it's the same thing. It's I knew the energetic root of my illness was
yes.
trauma, and it was unwinding that. So I was very blessed in my master's program. I had a 2-year master's program in spiritual psychology. So I learned how to trace back energy, which you know this. I think of
Yeah.
energy like an electrical cord, and we've got knots in it as we have these experiences that block our energy over time. And so obviously trauma, lives in our cells, right? It bypasses
Yeah.
our conscious memory, and we repress it or suppress it. It goes right into our cells, and it's stored there until
Yeah.
we're ready to release it. And so at that point in time, I was like, okay, I got to do this work. So I'd learned a process on how to go back in time and to heal the energy at the root. And again, it's like knots. I had to heal this knot, go back in
How
time,
did you
this knot.
identify? Did you wait for something to
Mhm.
rub up against your trauma? Because let's face it, I mean, especially right now, I'm dealing with a situation that's rubbing up against. I can
Mhm.
feel it. Now,
Mhm.
the healed version of me is showing up, but I can still feel what it would feel like to be there. I think people think it
Mhm.
goes away completely. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so for me, honestly, I am so not only so Lyme disease is a weird animal. It's not Lyme doesn't even become the most important part of the illness. You get all these co-infections because they attract one another. So I had Lyme disease, I had Babesia, Bartonella, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Auriclia, all these crazy co-infections on top of it. So I was riddled with illness, but
Yeah.
I refused to look at any of that. That's just no different than, the circumstances don't look out here. I
Would that be the
knew,
same as me
yeah.
saying, not to interrupt, but would that be the same as me saying, I no longer tear up the scripts. I no longer am going to identify as a migraineur. I'm not going to lead with it. I'm not going to,
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
as long as I led with that, I was not connected to anything, and all I had to do was manage my sick world, and the
So I will
pendulum
tell
swung.
you
Yeah,
what you will see in the world of Lyman. There is never any judgment. Everyone has their own path.
yeah,
So in the world of
and
Lyme,
severity.
a lot of people and severity, but a lot of people get attached to the illness, and the illness becomes a way of staying sick, that you can get the attention or whatever those things, where people don't do it consciously.
Right,
So I know a lot of people do label them as sick with this or that, these labels, and they get attached to
right.
the label. And
Yeah,
so I have many people who were sick with me with Lyme at the time, who are still sick and posting on social media and their illness and this and that, and they're doing these treatments. And this has been 11 years, that
yeah,
I've been. So and again, no judgment. Everyone has to wake up on their own time frame. For me, I was no longer ill. I was well. I was going to
right.
live in a world of wellness, period. And so since that time, I literally have never thought of it. I will never speak of Lyme disease. I'll be in the woods, never think of it. I'll never put any protection on it. I know that I am free of Lyme, and I will always be free of Lyme. And truly, I am Lyme free, literally,
Yeah,
from testing. There's nothing left in there.
bravo.
And I never did another
Congratulations.
treatment.
So
Yeah.
it's
So it was.
so if we say everything is energy and we know everything is energy, your energetic field isn't going to even entertain. You're not going to think about, you're not going to process, you're not going
I
to store
refuse,
for a rainy day.
refuse.
Yeah. I
It's
love
that,
that you said that.
when you put like
Yeah.
the force field around you, right?
Yeah.
It is outside my energy. I know that it will never come into me again. I will
Yeah.
never think of Lyme disease for the rest of my life, because I don't need to. I know I healed it at the root. I know that I am
For
no
the
longer
no
the
for the
vibrational
non-believers
match.
out there that are saying, how could
Mhm.
you be a migraineur on disability for a decade? And how can she be dead? And I mean, I can't even tell you, but times I
Mhm.
woke up in the hospital, I wasn't sure if it was the medication or
Mhm.
am I alive or am I having, am I in a psychosis from the amount of medicine they gave me? I would be waking up screaming and I'm thinking, is that me screaming? Because I was so saturated with drugs. I never talk about those things because it's impossible to get someone to
Mhm.
understand what that feels like when you have to sign away that you may not in order to take this, but you might not live. And you're so sick, you don't know any other way. There's
Exactly.
no other
Exactly.
option, but the way through
Exactly.
is the way through.
I think you have to, in my experience, you have to get to a point where you're so sick of being sick and you're so sick of yourself and what you are doing to yourself to make yourself
Yeah.
so small, to shrink
Yeah.
your energy, your life, all of these things. And for me, using the mirror work was a huge tool for me coming back, where
Yeah.
I had to really look at myself in the morning. And of course, I was, under 100 pounds and I looked like a
Yeah.
skeleton. I had all the wasting. I looked the worst I've ever looked in my entire life. And I had to start
Mm.
falling in love with myself. So I had to look in that mirror every morning and force myself to look deeper than my physical self into my soul and say, I love you. You are beautiful. You are courageous. You've got this. All those voices I was starting to unwind, but not by fighting them, by just
Yeah.
literally looking at that deeper
Yeah.
part of myself
And you're
beyond the
still not even
ego.
recognizing it yet.
Mm,
But
yeah,
but the
it,
all of the
but
all
it
that
began to
negativity, yeah,
work. It
well,
began to work.
through
Yeah,
repetition. Every
yeah,
day through repetition, I imagine that you did miss a day. I love that the mirror work. I'm a huge, as you know, huge advocate.
I know you
But
are.
I take it a step for I every day, whatever version is rubbing up against me or is
Mhm.
scared, there could be lack and scarcity, there could be anything. I pivot on my receiving side, my feminine side, and I call her forth and I let her know how proud I am of her, that she got me here. There's not a version of me I can shame. There are people out there that are like, you're a drug addict or you did this and you did that, and they never focus on the illness. They want to focus on maybe what I did in order to survive. And it would be easy to go down that rabbit hole and shame myself and hide some more. But I go back and I love her. And I mean, I double down and I'm like, I'm so fucking proud of you. You got me
Yeah.
here. Thank you. I'm so grateful. So that
Think
high,
about,
once again, if everything's energy, we're vibrating and if we're going to vibrate our gratitude for those versions of us that got us here at this point, and if we chose to heal at this age and this point and are seen at this level, we got a mission. We got a job to do.
we got a mission. Think, okay, we're in a crazy world right now. Let's be real. Think of
Yeah.
how different this world would be if we're waking up in the morning and telling ourselves beautiful things, right? Instead of waking up in
Yeah.
the morning with this anger that just builds on the inside that we don't even look at because, we
Yeah.
can't look at our shadow, we can't look at that. So we spend our day projecting it outward versus looking at that mirror in the morning. And, you don't start by being kind to yourself. Most of us are
Yeah.
being ourselves up, but we can't
Yeah.
recognize
I never
that
even taught to be
we're
kind to myself.
literally,
I didn't know what that
no,
looked
we're not.
like.
Women especially, no, we're absolutely not taught.
We're not
And we're
going to look in
taught,
the mirror and
right,
especially when there's ageism at this age, look in the mirror and say how much I love. No, we're going to regret. We're going to say, oh, if only I was younger. I always tell people, you're never going to be as young as you are today. So you better celebrate that.
right.
So every time I look in the mirror, I'm like,
Exactly. We're
I am
we're all
celebrating
aging.
this. I'm
We're all
celebrating
aging.
this
Yeah,
and I'll do whatever I
exactly.
want to do. But what's interesting is those versions that got you here. Now you're here, Catherine, and now you've survived this. You've done the work. How are you paying this forward? Let's talk about how you're
Yeah,
showing up in the world now and what you're
sure.
attracting now. Because I don't think people realize that this isn't a reinvention. This is who your soul was always meant to be. You just chose to unpack and heal and pull back the layers. People are like, oh, you've reinvented yourself so many times. I'm like, no, this is who I always was. The ego mask showed up and did all those other things, and
Right.
I can't even really take credit for all of it. It's just I was just
And it's just
seeking. I
the
was
layers.
trauma
We peel the
driven.
layers.
Yeah,
Yeah, we just peel
yeah.
the layers. So for
How did?
me,
Yeah.
I was born with a heart of service. So I'm
Yes.
sure much like you, my father was also an alcoholic. He was an orphan who was abandoned. So he grew up in an orphanage. He had tremendous rage and it was a very traumatic childhood. I was severely abused. Went on to marry someone very abusive. So
Oh, sorry.
it has always been in my heart since I was a little girl. Just I couldn't stand seeing people in pain. So I would have to go, I was the candy striper. I'm working at the nursing home. I'm the one taking the bus to the prison at Vanderbilt
Oh yeah.
University, things nobody
I
was
could.
doing. I
And it's
had
clear you
to
read my
do it.
book. I mean, I'm
I,
listening
yes,
to you. It is clear
I,
you. Yeah.
I had to do it. I'm compelled. So when I was coming back from Lyme, this all started from my daughter when we had this moment where she's like, Mom, what would you do if you were well? And so I realized I had a dream, and my daughter like came over maybe a month later and said, Mom, you need an Instagram. Go put some clothes on and I'm going to take your pictures and we're going to start you an Instagram. I'm like, what's Instagram? What's a hashtag? So this was in like June of 2015 when I actually launched my Instagram, but she started taking photos. Of course, I was 30 pounds less. All the clothes are falling off, but clothes were my way of finding confidence in myself outside in until I could find it inside out. So I launched this Instagram, and within
It
the
was your
first year,
creativity. I still look at your
I
creativity.
love it.
So you're so creative.
Creativity is healing. We are come from creation, right? We are born to be creators. So I learned that early on, that creativity is immensely healing. So that was a big part of my joy, the creative process. But more importantly, when I started, Maddie came up with Catherine Grace O. So it was my alter ego before I could really become her. And I changed my name eventually legally to Catherine Grace O'Connell to be Catherine Grace O. But initially it was an alter ego. It was not who I was yet. So I started this and I started sharing my story
I'm not even
online.
gonna say alter ego. Yeah. I think it was your higher self saying,
well,
hey,
that is ultimately what our alter ego is.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
I'm
That's
gonna hold
exactly what
space
it
for
is.
you and until
It's
you believe enough. Yeah.
You're a little higher up on the mountaintop. You're connecting with this part of yourself that's just a little higher up. It's for sure a real part of ourselves. So I started the Instagram. I started sharing my story, and within the first year, I had over 200 people reach out to me for help with illness, with Lyme disease and illness. I sent my cell phone to everyone. So that was the initial using this for more. I was never there to be an influencer. Is not my gig, never been my gig. To be influential is a beingness. To be an influencer is outside in. I'm always about the inside out. Like, it's about who we are being and how we can help with our state of being. So
it's probably what makes you so successful as an influencer, because there's just a different energy. I have always felt attached.
Think about, to be an influencer is about to have influence over others. That was never my thing. It was to be influential is a state of being that is not trying to do anything. You're just being. So for me, that was really important to me, but it also was to use my platform for good. And I would say initially, because I was putting clothes on there, fashion on there, I'm not changing clothes, I'm changing lives. So I started with that heart, and then I had this vision come through. It was a yoga class at the end of 2015, and it was this booming voice that came through and said, you need to leave here. You need to call your friend. Kathy Williamson is a big blogger online, and start the Fierce 50. You need to unite women over 50. It came through, call it the Fierce 50, get these women together and create this big social service campaign. And I was brand new at this. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I hear this voice.
Is the Fierce 50 your account?
Fierce 50 was my original, the name of the social service campaign. And so Forever Fierce was initially the Fierce 50.
Okay.
Then we made it Forever Fierce to take the 50 off so we could make it more ageless and encompass all ages. So, but I did the social
because
service
50
campaign.
Is coming on.
There it is. It is. Back then you still weren't really talking about it a whole lot.
No,
it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. But I called Kathy Williamson, called 3 other pretty good sized bloggers at the time to see if they were interested. They all jumped on board, hopped in the plane, came in 2 weeks to LA. We launched the Fierce 50 on the 50th day of the year in February of 2017. So, and this blew up. So this blowing up on social media, had all these brands reaching out, wanting me to shoot national campaigns and commercials. And like, literally, I'm like, all of a sudden I have all of these opportunities and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, none of this, I've never done any of these things, but I'm literally on the phone going, oh, you want me to do what? National campaign?
Well, that's how I met you. There was a campaign. I didn't even know. Exactly. I'm like, why am I there? What are we doing? And I'm sure they don't have size shoes big enough for my feet, but but it was your energy that I showed up for. I had no idea that it was like a local news thing and a campaign. I just wanted to be part of what I felt was your connection and movement. And then I saw it unfold. I mean, isn't that crazy? I didn't know. I didn't know.
Awesome. I love it. But it was the hearts of the women that were so, it was during last February in Heart Health Awareness Month. We did this big campaign for Easy Spirit, and I've done a bunch of campaigns for them and other brands. And so for me, it was, okay, universe, you sent me this opportunity. You gave me, like you said, this download was so clear. I got off, I took the action. I went and put this together. I have all these opportunities coming in. So that is literally how it happened. I didn't go out there and create MODlife Media. But that's how MODlife Media was born. First, it was
Mm,
Forever Fierce Media. We changed it to MODlife for Modern
media.
Midlife. And it was because suddenly we now have a digital media agency to respond to all these brands that wanted all this creative marketing and advertising
Well,
with
and
this
your
fresh
brands are
content.
fast and furious.
Thank
I
you.
can't even keep
Yeah.
up with
We got
your,
a lot going on.
well, your
I
videos.
can't keep up. No, it's okay. I can't keep up
I'm
either.
like thinking, this is so clever and so creative, and you just represent everything so authentically. Kind of like I didn't know I'm there for like a campaign. I'm just putting on red shoes and dancing around because you want me to. I'm like, what do you need me to do? And I'm like,
Or not
oh,
only that, you're leading the way. You're front and center. She's going right there. There she is leading the way.
but the energy of it,
Yeah.
your energy, your
Thank you.
authenticity of, and now you expanded it to more.
Right, the ageless revolution. I always say it's not
Yes,
about
the
aging
ageless
less, it's about
revolution.
becoming more. So it's when you take the focus off the number and you put it onto the energy, because energy is infinite. And we know that our
Yeah,
culture has projected so much onto numbers of age. And
yeah.
I don't buy into that. My daughter's called me
Yeah.
for my whole life,
Yeah.
Benjamin
Minute
Button.
you invited me, I'm like, I'm all
It's
in.
energy. It's
Yeah.
all energy. So
Yeah.
when people see me out there cold plunging, they don't see, okay, I'm almost 65, not quite 65, this
Yeah.
7-7
Yeah.
birthday, but it
Ooh,
is
that's
a
right. The
big
seven
part of the
seven, the seven
reason
seven
7-7.
77, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't it seven?
seven. I'm 7-7-61. So 7-7, 1961, 6 + 1 is 7. So I'm really three
Yeah.
sevens. And we know that's a divine number,
Yeah.
divine energy.
It's well, I'm going to say
So
that's powerful.
yeah. But what I do, a lot of what I do is about exuding an energy. So women start seeing something, feeling something different that can represent a possibility that they didn't know was there. So it starts expanding what they see as
Right.
aging in a really beautiful, empowered, positive light. We need that, right? We need that. It's not
Oh,
about, yeah,
we
it's
need
not
it
about how
more
many
now
years
than
we live.
ever
Yeah,
because
it's not about the years of our life, the
well,
life in
look
our
at 20
years.
years ago. Look at the women our age 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Look at, I mean,
Huge
we
difference.
see.
Huge
Well,
difference.
we know
Yeah,
more
huge
now.
difference.
We're physically we're taking better care of ourselves.
Exactly.
Everything is shifting and changing. We look different. I'm like, is it just we think we look different? Did they think they look different too? Or are we just delusional? I don't think so.
It's okay if we are a little bit delusional. That's always good
There,
too.
yeah,
But
well, there's a little bit of
I
delusion and
I think we're
creativity and
breaking,
genius.
when you break those energetic barriers, right? You
Yeah,
break those barriers and you go, okay, now I see something different. So I know I can live differently, whether it's conscious or unconscious. You're sending
yeah,
this energy. And I have to say, the number one compliment I get on social media, your energy. I love your energy. There's no better
absolutely.
compliment to the world. It's
Yeah,
not, I have plenty of wrinkles. I age naturally. It's not
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's I love exuding a youthful energy because on the inside, I'm a youngster like you.
yeah,
Those little kids at heart are all in there. They're all active. They're so alive. And
yeah.
that is what will make us to become ageless, is tapping into that energy. It's not buying any of these cultural belief stories around what it means to be a woman at midlife and beyond, over 50, over 60, like us.
Yeah, and have the energy to share. And I love that about
Yeah.
you. It's like people are like, how do you have so much energy to share? And I'm like, I don't know, but I do. I don't have the answer to that, but I just do. And I recognize that in you too. You pay it forward as fast as you can. And
We're little
so,
generators. That's what we are. We're little generators. We
little
generate. We're little
generators.
generators or big generators. We're
What would
generators.
you say are the three shifts that women can do right now that might be entering their 60s? There, a lot. Sometimes that number really scares people.
Yeah.
It
Yes, it does. But
didn't scare
yeah,
me. Didn't scare
it
me
didn't
because
scare me either. It didn't
I
scare
just felt
me
like
either.
the shedding and the layers
Yeah,
of what I released.
exactly.
I'm like, thank. I really just thanked God that it's like, thank God I'm in this. I'm grounded and landed
Yeah,
in this healed version, and I can go forth and do what I need to do without the
exactly.
anchoring of so many stories that you're trying to play out. And I was just so grateful to be there that it's like, and I'm so grateful I have the energy to do it. And
I
I think
am
that has,
too.
well, I think it has everything to do with the fact that we're in this boat and we're not sinking because we've gotten rid of the old versions that no longer align. But there are people that
Exactly.
still come into my world. Do they still come into your world too and try to remind you of who you were and how that isn't possible, or this or that. I
Mhm.
mean, there's not a lot of them, but I do have a few. And
I
I,
don't,
yeah.
yeah, I don't, because I think they know that I will not allow that energy.
Mm,
And it is just going to be, you put
bravo.
that bubble on, you put that mirror on, and you
Yeah.
reflect it out just with love. It can go right back to them.
I
So
love that.
I will not allow that energy. And I just, delete block if anything comes in. So back to what you can
Love
do,
that.
especially if you're
Delete
over
block.
60.
Yeah. What can we
Mind,
tell
body,
them right
spirit,
now?
mind, body, spirit. We are all
Mm-hmm.
connected. And so many of us get so caught up in the physical, right? We just focus on
Mm,
our bodies and how they're falling apart or how we don't feel good. And we wake up in the morning and we're tired. But the truth is, it is all connected. And as I said, there's so much now science coming out to back that up, from healing from an autoimmune to just giving ourselves energy. What we tell ourselves is that our quality of life depends upon the quality of our thoughts. So, what are you telling yourself? We have the latest research in science. There was a study done at Queen's College, and it came
right.
up with 6,200 thoughts per day. So we have 6,200 thoughts per day. That is a lot of thoughts. Most of those thoughts are just us inside. There's just like this constant conversation inside, right? Most of us, 95% of it's unconscious. So what are you telling yourself? So what we tell
And
ourselves
we know that
matters.
85% are negative. It's
Yes,
not,
yes,
we're not
that's
hardwired for
negative
positive.
cognitive bias, right? So we're constantly,
Yeah.
but it's like you got to lay new train tracks, right? So especially, it's really important as we get older. If you're in your 60s, you've lived 60 some years, right? So there's a lot of, those neural pathways that have really hardened over the years, but they really haven't. It's just
Yeah.
laying new tracks. So you've been riding this one train track for so long, and you wake up in the morning and you've got this diatribe going. You are the one with the power to shift that diatribe, and it just takes one thought at a time. So you just
Mm,
start laying a new train track, laying new healthy neural pathways by starting in the morning. Mirror work was my number one practice that I used to come back from Lyme. And I would just, that mirror, you're brushing your teeth in the morning, use that mirror for
21
good
days to change
and
your
start.
life.
Yes, exactly. So you just start
Yeah.
in the morning telling yourself kind things, which is going to break a pattern, going to start laying new neural pathways. And also challenging
Mm.
that monkey mind, challenge your mind when it says like going out to cold plunge. I don't want a cold plunge. Okay. My mind is screaming, don't do it. It's like freezing out there today. There are big waves. It's really windy. It's
But
like
you're
low.
still
Yeah,
going out there today. You are still, from this
I'm,
podcast, you are going to leave and go out there.
I am leaving and going right out there. And the water is 46 degrees. So
Mm.
what, it's 50 degrees colder than my body temperature. And I don't have a lot of fat on there. So I'm shaking like crazy.
No.
But the truth is, science shows us, this is big on, Andrew Huberman, the Huberman Lab. He always talks about this. There
Mhm.
is a portion of our brain that we are actually building that is responsible for willpower and
Mm.
self-control, impulse control. So when we do things that we know are good for us that we don't want to do, I don't feel like doing it, I don't feel like doing it. When you push through and you get to the other side, you are actually growing that part of your brain. So you're building willpower, you're building discipline, you're building confidence. And the foundation of all of it is self-trust. So you are
Mm.
building self-trust. And again, back to your book, back to your philosophy, consistency. So it really takes about
Right.
40 days to build a new habit, but I do this 30-day challenge. I'll continue it after, but
Yeah.
it's consistency. It's choose
Mm.
one thing to do that you don't feel like doing, that is good for you. And you don't focus on the thing itself, because then you're going to focus on the negative. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't
I
want to do it.
love
You
that.
focus on how you're going to feel after, and you just push through and you do it. And your confidence and your belief in yourself
Mm.
will explode. So that's number one.
Mhm.
Number two, take care of your body. Like, we got to take care of body. We got to like fuel it properly. We've got to, be really aware of what things, feed our energy in a positive way and what things drain our energy. I know you grew up with an alcoholic father, so did I. So alcohol is like, doesn't make me feel good, right? So too much sugar doesn't make me feel good. Right now, I'm just doing 30 days of just paleo, no sugar, no carbs, because I know January is my
Yeah.
month to build all this energy and momentum. But it's, what makes you feel good, and what
Yeah.
doesn't. Those habits that are getting in your way and those habits that aren't. And it's not about being perfect. It's about
Mm.
choices in that moment.
Mm.
Just, what can I choose right now? And it doesn't mean I love sugar. I love dark chocolate. I love cupcakes. So on day 31, I'm having cupcakes. but it's moderation, and it's
So
just
crazy because
making.
I was so stressed the other day, and I'm gonna show for the people that are not on the visual. I'm showing a little bag of
Oh, there you
Butterfingers.
go. Right, a girl after my own heart. I
And
mean,
I'm
yeah,
like,
bring on.
well, yeah, I've never drank alcohol in my life. I think it was too terrifying.
Mhm.
And I got alcohol poisoning when I tried. It was the universe just coming in and saying,
Yeah,
hey, we're
of
that
course.
gig is over for you. You're not going to get that. And we're not going to give you an addictive personality, but you will
Yep.
become dependent on this medicine and you're going to need it and you're going to be called a drug addict. And yeah, I mean, all the things. But I will tell you one thing that I psychologically would do, and I talk about this in my book, is the candy connection. How and I went to my mom's this last weekend and I stopped and I got that little bag of Butterfingers.
Got to do
And
it. You got it. You got to make yourself happy. So
yeah,
that is
and that
moderation and
sugar just
balance.
made
Yes.
everything
Mhm.
better in my
Yeah.
world, just like Jolly Ranchers did, Apple Jolly Ranchers did when I was a
Yeah.
kid. All is well in my
Absolutely.
world. I would get my violin case and fill it up with fruity candies. And I'm like,
You made me
blow
in your
pops.
book. You made me laugh because we had like Woolworths back in the day, or the penny
Oh
candy
yeah.
stores, right? And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
I'd
oh,
go in
she's
and
a
get as
girl
much
after
as I
my own
could for
heart. Yes,
25 cents.
exactly,
Blow pops,
exactly.
Jolly
Yes,
Ranchers, sweet
yeah,
tarts. It's like,
yeah.
woohoo. I
I
would fill up
know
my
it.
reed case. I take my reeds out and throw them away and say, I lost them and fill that up with candy. And I would sit, no wonder I was first chair violin, clarinet, because I would sit and I would eat candy all night and practice because there was my
Yeah,
safety. There was, we do what we design survival. And
exactly.
it
But that's balance to me. It's like, yes, take care of your body, but also do
yeah,
those things that make you happy. So that's the
yeah.
balance. You got to be. I am not going to have a life without sugar in it.
Yeah, I
I'm
see.
just
I
gonna.
didn't beat myself up, and I didn't even open it
Yeah.
until, and then I
No,
had
I would
two,
love to
and I'm
have a
like,
Butterfinger right now.
it was delicious. I had it, and I'm
I
like,
bet.
this is delicious, and I'm like, you said you were, sugar would be my Achilles heel. It's what
Mhm.
I'm going
Me
to
too.
lean into, but it's also going to
Me too.
trigger me and say, hey, what is it you're avoiding? Because you're wanting sugar. So for me, I'm a fruitaholic. I can't stop eating oranges right now, and I'm like,
Hmm.
one orange is fine, but I
They're
want
good. That's a
nine
good.
oranges. I
Yeah.
want nine oranges. I mean, it's like I can't eat a little. I eat a lot, and I'm like, so there's the balance. And
So
I'm
there's
always
yes.
honest about what comes in. It's like last night I made myself sick eating eight mandarins. I didn't need eight mandarins, but they were
Yeah.
so small, and I was like, this is so delicious, and I'm like, they're so small, and I ended up giving myself a stomach ache, and I'm like, when are you gonna learn? But I did beat myself up. I'm like, just have some grace. You were
Yeah. You
hungry.
gotta.
You ate all night. You ate all the eight managers. I left one, the ninth on the plate. I'm like, you left one. You could have eaten all nine. But I think that it comes in, and I think it's there to show up to see what I'm avoiding. And
Oh, and
sugar
it's
will
just so
always be,
aware. You're
yeah,
aware of it. So it's
I'm aware.
mind, it's body. Obviously, we know we just kind of covered that topic. It's
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
make good choices, but also have some fun in there, right? For me,
Yeah.
I'm having fun all the time. So that you always got to build in fun things to make you
You
happy.
do have
And
fun
then
all the time.
the last is spirit, is like fuel your spirit,
Yeah.
feed your spirit. So, and that means obviously
Mm.
making time for joy, play, all those things. But it also, we talked earlier a little bit about the whole like self-help thing, and it's self-help has a bad name because self-help tends to
Yeah.
be, people will go there, read all the books, but they aren't necessarily practicing those
Yeah.
things.
It's
So
not
it's like
applicable. Yeah.
self with a big S, right?
Or they're
So
addicted to knowing more, and
it's
they don't
but
apply
not
anything.
practicing. So
Yeah.
it's choose some practice that is
Yeah.
going to fuel your spirit, be it
Yeah.
meditation, be it prayer, be it gratitude, be it, it can just
I
be
heard you say
like
keep it
doing.
simple. Choose one thing.
Keep it simple, sister. A kiss, right? It is choose. I'm a big on one thing because if you choose more and you're not consistently doing them, you won't do any of them. Choose one
Oh,
thing, and
yeah.
even if it's just like
Mm.
5 minutes of breath, breathing in the morning. Meditation doesn't have to be. You have to be, trained in transcendental meditation like I was, or something like you. It's
Yeah.
literally so simple. Just
Yeah.
watch your breath, literally go outside and stare at the water and just
Yeah.
breathe while you're doing it. Mindfulness
Connect.
meditation. Yeah, it's like be present, right? So it's do
Mm.
things that feed your spirit, but also
Yeah.
build in a healthy practice that helps to bring you back to the present moment so that you are connecting to your
Mm.
spirit and that bigger self. I think that is just so important. Mind, body, spirit, all connected.
I think that we wake up with a dominant thought every day. And I did this years ago. I wasn't even aware of Louise Hayes. I didn't know. And when I heard her say something very similar to this, I mean, I got goosies. I just freaked out because there was so much alignment. But every morning, before I even open my eyes, I take a deep breath and I just say, all is well in my world. I
Mhm.
am safe. I am loved. I am
Mhm.
protected
That is
every
her. Yeah,
day. I say
that is
it is
classic
so
Louise.
before my feet hit the ground, before I go to the mirror and say, "Hey, Dana, what do you need from me today?" And I'm going to honor that. It's like an honor system. But what it did was it regulated without even knowing,
Mhm.
it regulated my
Mhm.
central nervous
Yeah,
system. Instead of being hitting the ground, deregulated, then chaos is going to ensue because that's all I
yes,
knew was chaos and
exactly.
the shoe falling and the antennas being up, because when we're raised in chaos and we have alcoholic parents or the parent that's married to the alcoholic parent that's probably capitulating or has their own problems, we're on our own. We're having to be bigger
Mhm.
than we need to be, and then we still call all of that in and we recreate and recreate. I think what you
Exactly.
taught people today is I think I'm going to ask you because I know what my takeaway was.
Mhm.
What do you
Mhm.
want people to take away from this? If there's one thing you could say, this is what I want you to take away, not so much about ageism or our age or any of that. You
Mhm.
could be anybody, but take this away and apply this in your life. What would it be?
That's a very good question. That's a big question. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it in my new, not just word, but my new energy I'm really connecting with is audacious. So I am all about becoming ageless and audacious. Think about the word audacious is about living boldly, right? So, and we're taught to do the opposite as we get older. So I'm a big believer in challenge those, those stories, those boxes that our society and
Yeah.
culture puts us into. We don't have to go in those boxes, right? It's one
No.
thing for them to create those boxes. It's another thing for us to step into them or out of them or just blow them away. And so for me to live again, ageless does not mean aging less. It means becoming more. And it's the being part
Right.
that really will change your life. I think of the access, like we learned in like grammar school, but this
Yeah.
is a doing access and this is a being access, and your life will change not just by doing. You've got to add the being element in. So make sure mind, body, spirit. So you're going up this way, right? You go a little, do a little. Being will always take you further and faster in life. So it's
Mm.
becoming, it comes from a state of being. So it's all about our state of being.
So for the people that are listening right now and they're conceptualizing, their brain is getting it, and they're like, I don't know what to do next. Let's give
Mm-hmm.
them a play by play. What do they do next? They
Well,
want to have a good 2026. They want to
mm-hmm.
take control. They want to stop some habits. They're feeling overloaded, overwhelmed. It's all or nothing. The pendulum is swinging.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you can say, hey, lean into this and do this every day. Just stay right here. What would that be?
I would do meditation. That's my ride or die. I'm a meditation teacher, but that changed my life. And I mean, meditation is not about stopping thoughts. It's not going to change
Mm,
your life overnight. It's creating space between our thoughts. So if you just
mm,
think of our thoughts as little clouds like up there and just watch them, because we get so attached to our thoughts, and that's how we react to these thoughts and we do things based on our thoughts, and it drives our emotions and our emotions drive our actions. And so everything starts with our thoughts. And if we can just take a few
mm.
deep breaths and we can just create a little bit of space between our thoughts, and we can do that first thing in the morning,
Right.
we will be changing the world by changing ourselves. That is such a little thing. But if you just make that commitment, and the commitment isn't to me or you or anyone else, commitment's with yourself. Like,
Well, this is
what can
where
I
we're aligned
do?
again. Keep it
Yeah.
simple, keep it simple, keep it
Mm-hmm.
simple, because
Mm-hmm.
we become
Yeah.
overwhelmed and
Always.
that's when it's not sustainable because
Yeah.
you go into this new year and you're overloading and you're listening to people, and I've never been one for reinventing or what do they call it? Resolutions, all
Mhm.
those
I'm not a
things.
resolution girl. I'm an intention girl.
Yeah, it's
So
like,
it's, and
yeah.
I think of intention like just a switch when we turn that switch on. So what is your intention? Obviously, we have a
Mm,
universal intention to want to feel better, to be
mm,
better, to do better. And we all want to be happier. We all want to have better lives.
yeah.
So what is it? We come into this world with our breath. We leave this world with our breath. Our breath is the most
Mm.
important thing, and our breath connects us mind, body, spirit is all connected through our breath. And literally something that simple. Choose that one thing, give yourself that gift of just being mindful about your breath. It doesn't have to be any fancy meditation course or anything, but just the more time you give to yourself, a little space between your thoughts, you won't be reacting so much. You won't be living this life based upon emotions and triggers and things. It's such a gift. Gift to yourself and gift to others. So it's a great thing to start the year with.
This was such a gift of, and you were so present. I looked down, I was looking down at the 3 pages of, I mean, brilliant, brilliant questions. I mean, we could have taken it in a whole different direction. I mean, we might have to do like
I'm game. I'm here. I'm here
episode
for it.
2 to take them into the realm of what you built out. But I'm so grateful for your energy and your presence and what you do in the world every day that we connect out there in social media. I'm like so grateful for you. There's so much joy, authentic joy. I can feel it. And it's like it's like the real thing. And it's almost right now. I think that 2026 is, if you're not going to show up authentically and you think you're going to fake energy, it isn't going to
Good
work.
luck. Good luck with
Yeah,
that one.
good
It is
luck.
a
Well, I'm
misalignment with our
clearing.
energy.
Well, I
Yeah.
think we tolerate that
Yeah.
because we want to stay connected. But for me, it's just like I just can't do it anymore. It's just like
Exactly.
it's like bless and release because I can't do it anymore. Okay, so last question, and I think we're gonna have to do 2 because I looked down at these questions and I'm like, people need to know this too. But this was so brilliant, just so authentically unfolding and organic
Thank
that
you.
it's
Thank you.
just, yeah, I couldn't
I'm
even
here for you
reroute it.
anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. I'm
Uh,
here. I'm here. You're
yeah,
so
and I
special. So
adore you and
I'm
I
so
love you. You
grateful
know
to
that. So
spend.
I
Yeah. This has
thank you for
been
that. So
such a gift.
yeah. So I always ask this at the end of my podcast,
Mhm.
and I have to ask you, what feels like love in your life right now?
What feels like love in my life? Joy, joy. It's something I didn't really
Mm,
allow myself,
joy.
play.
How do
Kid
you
at
cultivate
heart.
joy? How are you cultivating joy? Are you just like calling it in, showing up, putting it on your calendar? When people say, I don't know where to find joy, what would you
Well,
say
for
to
one,
them?
I am all right. I'm Cancer the crab, right? I'm a boho beach girl. I live at the beach. So honestly, even though like the cold plunges are like really tough and everything, but I got my feet in the sand. I am grounding. I've got that water, the salt water, the like I'm playing with my
Okay. And
puppy. I'm
people need to
chasing
find, yeah, they
rocks.
need to
Like
go out
this
there and
is,
watch the video
yeah,
and that would
it's
actually
joy. It's
yeah, it's
pure
so much joy.
joy. It's
Yeah.
joy. It's
It's because
joy.
you
And
cannot fake that because
yeah,
I know you're freezing your booty off. I know
yeah,
how
but
cold that
it's
is. I'm looking
joy.
at you and I'm like,
I'm laughing through it. I'm
yeah, yeah,
laughing
she
through it.
can't even, and you've got your dog, and I'm like, she can't even fake that. She's really in, yeah,
It's
exuberating
joy. So
joy.
whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you
Whatever floats
happy,
your boat.
do that. Do that.
Mm,
Do that. For me, that's it. I know that floats my boat.
I
If
love
I,
that. Okay,
yeah,
what's coming up? Where can people find you? Where can they
thank
follow
you.
you? I'm gonna have all the links, but tell the
Thank you
audience.
so much. I'm pretty accessible. Catherine Grasso, you Google me, but Instagram, Catherine Grasso, my blog, Catherine Grasso. I've got a Facebook group, Forever Fierce. It is the Ageless Revolution. I have a TED Talk that should be out within the next couple of months, so I will absolutely send that your
Oh
way.
yeah.
And I'm working on a book and a course, and I've got a big event here. If anyone's in Seattle or Vancouver and wants to come in Seattle for our event in April 18th, come on down. You want to come? We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of things are cooking. It's been a really good year, a really big year, and I'm so excited
You're
for what
calling a
lies
lot
ahead
in
for
and
both of us and you too. Congratulations. I mean, I know a book is like birthing a baby, so you did it, and you are just woman on fire, and I adore you,
well,
and I'm so grateful for
thank
our
you.
time together and our
Well, I
friendship.
would say women, I'm a woman on a mission. I'm on a
Yeah,
mission to let other women know that anything is possible, that
yeah,
we can bring ourselves back, but and we're forged through the fire. And there the love and forgiveness that we must apply every day. And it's every day. It isn't a one and done. This is a practice. This is a way of being a life. And it does cultivate joy because we get to build it in. Because
it does.
if we're beating ourselves up every day, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time cycle, and our
Yeah,
subconscious is so good at doing that.
and it's
So
exhausting.
yeah, where's your favorite hub to hang out? Would it be Instagram, LinkedIn? Where could people
I'm an
connect with you?
Instagram girl. I am on LinkedIn. I need to be better about LinkedIn because I think it's a really important place where people are starting to gravitate to more
Yeah.
so off of Instagram. Instagram is my major
There's your
tone
hub.
on social. Yeah.
Okay. So if they send you a message, okay, are you
I'm
going
the
to
one.
answer?
I don't have anyone else. It's me. It's me, guys. So I am the one making all the comments. I'm the one on the DMs. I respond to everything. So it's just me. There's nobody else doing it. It's just me.
Yeah,
So
you have
I'll
a
be there.
huge engagement, and I love listening to the women connect, the
Yeah.
conversations that you generate, that you call in. It's all you, and I'm
It's all me.
so
It's all me.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so
Adore
blessed to
you.
have you in my life. I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being
Love you
here.
too. Thank you guys so much. I'm delighted to
Yeah.
be here. All
Yes.
right.
Thank you everyone who's
Yeah.
tuned in today to the Dana Grant Show. Hey, stay tuned because she said part two is coming, and I feel, I've only done it a couple of times, but I feel like part two unfolds a completely different division and story and holds space for the expansion that she created. And I think you need to know. So stay tuned to part two. And thank you again, everyone, for showing up. Thank you, Catherine. We're both sending you so much love.